Malachi,
Hey.
you are a Dallas Cowboy.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Malachi Lawrence is about to start making millions as a 23rd overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft after being selected by the Dallas Cowboys to be their franchise pass rusher. But what you might not know is when he first stepped onto his college campus, he had absolutely no idea how to be a pass rusher. At the Cowboys introductory press conference, he would literally say, "When I first got to college, I didn't really have any pass rush skills that I knew about yet." So the guy the Cowboys just spent a first-round pick on had to learn how to get to the quarterback from scratch. And that's not even the biggest obstacle he had to overcome. But to understand how a kid with no pass rush skills became one of the most explosive defensive ends in the entire 2026 draft class, we got to go back to Louisville, Kentucky, where Malachi Lawrence was still trying to figure out just how powerful he was. Louisville is football's forgotten city, a basketball town where gridiron talent gets buried. Malachi Lawrence grew up there knowing he was an athlete but never quite knowing what kind. At DuPont Manual High School, he was a walking contradiction. On one play, he'd line up at tight end and catch passes over the middle. On the next, he'd drop back to outside linebacker and chase down running backs like a heat-seeking missile. He was 6 feet 4 inches, physical, explosive, and completely undefined. A freak athlete with no clear position. But here's the detail that explains everything about who Malachi Lawrence really was before football figured him out. While other kids were focused solely on the gridiron, Malachi was out on the track gripping a 16-pound steel ball and launching it as far as humanly possible. As a junior, he became a state shot put medalist, launching that ball with an explosion that made track coaches stop and stare. That raw, violent power that starts in your legs, rips through your core, and explodes out your hands, that was always inside him. Football just hadn't found a way to use it yet. He carried a 3.6 GPA. He earned first-team all-district honors as an outside linebacker. But when recruiting season came around, the offers didn't pour in. He was a 3-star recruit, ranked 1,565th nationally. The big programs looked right past him. No Alabama, no Ohio State, no SEC calls, just one program believed. UCF head coach Josh Heupel offered Lawrence a scholarship in December 2020. It wasn't even a Power 5 school at the time, but for a kid from Louisville who just wanted a chance, it was everything. Then Heupel left for Tennessee. The coach who recruited him, gone just like that. Lawrence hadn't even played a snap yet, and the man who believed in him had already moved on. Gus Malzahn took over in 2021. New coach, new system, new expectations. Lawrence showed up as a linebacker and tight end with zero pass rushing technique and quickly discovered that being versatile in high school meant being buried on the depth chart in college. The results were brutal. As a redshirt freshman in 2022, he saw action in exactly 3 games: South Carolina State, Tulane, Navy. His stat line after 2 full years of college football read like a typo. 2 tackles, half a sack. Picture this: a 6'4", 250-pound freak who could launch a steel ball across a track field, reduced to watching from the sideline while other guys got the reps. 2 years of blood, sweat, film study, and early morning workouts. And the stat sheet looked like it belonged to a walk-on. Not knowing how to rush the passer was one thing. You can teach technique, but sitting there for 2 full years wondering if you'll ever get a chance? That's the kind of obstacle that breaks people. Most kids would have hit the transfer portal after 1 bad season. Lawrence had 2. Every reason in the world to leave and start over somewhere else. But Malachi Lawrence stayed, and that decision changed everything. The 2023 season, still under Malzahn, was when the light finally turned on. As a redshirt sophomore, Lawrence got his first real opportunity and grabbed it with both hands. He appeared in all 13 games, recording 27 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, and 7.5 sacks. The kid who had been invisible for 2 years was suddenly one of the most disruptive defenders in the Big 12. He earned honorable mention all Big 12 honors and started turning heads. But the coaching carousel wasn't done spinning. Malzahn coached through 2024, then left. Scott Frost took over in 2025 and brought in a new defensive staff, including edge rushers, Coach Mike Dawson. Lawrence had now played for 3 different head coaches at one school. Most players would have been long gone by now. Lawrence thrived under the new staff. In 2024, he added 5 more sacks, including a strip sack forced fumble against West Virginia that showed the violence everyone knew was coming. Dawson saw something in Lawrence that went beyond raw athleticism. Dawson would say about what teams were getting. His biggest value is that he has a large toolbox. He's not a one-trick pony with just one pass rush move. The shot-put kid from Louisville was becoming a complete player. Then came 2025, his senior season, when that shot put explosion fully translated to the football field. Lawrence posted career highs: 28 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 pass breakups. He earned first-team All-Big 12 honors and an 89.9 pass rush grade from Pro Football Focus. He finished his career at number 10 on UCF's all-time sacks list with 20 total. He was also one of only 4 FBS players with 5 or more sacks in each of the last 3 seasons. The kid with no pass rush skills had become one of the most consistent pass rushers in all of college football. UCF head coach Scott Frost would say, "He did an unbelievable job of working consistently and just continuing to get better. I'm really happy for him." But the NFL still wasn't paying attention. Going into draft season, Lawrence himself didn't even believe the first round was realistic. He would later admit he thought maybe 3rd or 4th round at best. And that's when Malachi Lawrence decided to bet on himself one last time. January 2026, East-West Shrine Bowl in Frisco, Texas. Lawrence showed up and dominated against legitimate NFL caliber competition. He would say about the experience, "At the Shrine Bowl, I tried to show that I could throw speed to power, and also I had a little pop in me, some pop in me in the run game." Then came the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Lawrence ran a 4.52-second 40-yard dash, the second fastest time among all defensive ends. He posted a 40-inch vertical jump and a 10-foot-10 broad jump. His overall athletic testing ranked 22nd out of over 2,000 defensive ends tested at the Combine over the last 40 years. That's not a typo. Out of thousands of edge rushers across 4 decades, Malachi Lawrence was 22nd. NFL Network draft analyst Charles Davis said during the Combine broadcast, "This is not a guy that many people were talking about. I got a text from a player personnel guy in the league who said, 'Hey, I liked him early. I had a 3rd round grade on him. That number may go up for this young man.' And it did, fast. Draft boards started moving. Lawrence participated in 30 virtual calls with scouts, coaches, and general managers and made 17 in-person team visits. First-round chatter became real. The kid from Louisville was suddenly one of the fastest risers in the entire draft class. April 24th, 2026, Louisville, Kentucky. Malachi Lawrence was back home, hosting a draft watch party surrounded by his family and the people who had been there from the beginning. The NFL draft was unfolding in Pittsburgh, and the first round was winding down. Pick 15 goes by, then 16, then 17. Every name Roger Goodell calls that isn't Malachi Lawrence is another moment of doubt creeping in. Was the Combine a fluke? Did teams not believe the tape? Pick 18. Pick 19. Lawrence is sitting there with his family trying to keep it together while the rest of the first round ticks away. In the Dallas Cowboys war room, something was brewing. They had already traded up for safety Caleb Downs at 11 and were now sitting at pick 20. New assistant defensive line coach Demetra Brim, who had just worked with Lawrence at UCF in 2025, gave them inside information most teams didn't have. Stephen Jones would later point to Brim's familiarity with Lawrence as a key factor in pulling the trigger. The Cowboys made their move. They traded the 20th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for the 23rd pick plus 2 fourth-round selections. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer had been watching film for weeks, particularly one play against Kansas State, an athletic quarterback scrambling and Lawrence chasing him down from behind. Schottenheimer would say, "His first step quickness is elite. The ability to turn his toe and run the edge, as we like to call it, is, we think, elite. Then, of course, the one thing I love about the guy is he has an innate ability to attack the football while he's attacking the quarterback." When NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announced, with the 23rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Malachi Lawrence, defensive end, UCF, the dam broke. Back at his draft party, Lawrence was visibly emotional, his hand covering his eyes as tears came. His family erupted around him. 5 years of grinding at one school, 2 years of barely playing, 3 head coaches, and a position he had to learn from scratch. All of it hitting at once. Lawrence would post 3 words on his Instagram story that night: "Thank you, Jesus." Hours later, Lawrence was on a charter flight to North Texas. When he stepped off the bus and walked through the front doors of the Star, he stopped. Marble floors beneath his feet, chandelier lights hanging from the ceiling, and right there in front of him, 5 Super Bowl trophies on display. For a kid who spent 2 years watching from the sideline at UCF, he was now standing inside one of the most iconic franchises in sports history. The next morning at his introductory press conference, Lawrence would say with a grin, "Got in here this morning, tried on some cowboy boots. I got to meet some of the staff. It's been a great experience." But the weight of what he'd accomplished was still sinking in. Lawrence would say, "It's like a standard to be set now. You can go to UCF and be a first-round pick on defense. I just want to represent my family in the right way and to put a good name on UCF." Now comes the real test. The Cowboys defense allowed an NFL worst 30.1 points per game in 2025. They traded away Micah Parsons. They're counting on Lawrence to help fill that void alongside fellow first-rounder Caleb Downs and newly acquired Pro Bowler Rashan Gary. Lawrence becomes the 5th first-round pick in UCF history and the first defensive lineman from the program ever drafted in the opening round. From launching steel in a Louisville shot put circle to launching quarterbacks in Jerry World, from 2 tackles in 2 years to 20 career sacks, Malachi Lawrence proved that patience, loyalty, and an explosive pair of hands can take you from invisible to undeniable. The kid who showed up to college with no idea how to rush the passer is now getting paid millions to do exactly that. And his story is just getting started. If you enjoyed this one, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. See y'all at the next one. Peace.